If your life isn't where you want it to be, stop running faster. Start thinking clearer. Most people don't fail from lack of effort. They fail from lack of direction. They keep moving, keep doing, keep chasing, but without ever stopping to ask, is this even working? Am I headed where I want to go? Let me give you the truth. Most people ignore. Progress requires pause. You've got to hit the brakes. Not because you're quitting, but because you're about to take back control. Review your life. Don't just live it. Reflect on your choices. Don't just repeat them, and then refocus. With clarity, intention, and purpose. That's how you change your results. Not by doing more, but by doing what matters most. In this video, we're going to walk through a powerful process, one that high achievers use often, and average folks rarely do. We're going to look back, learn forward, and lock in on what counts. So you don't just live by default, you live by design. Don't treat this like another video. Treat it like a reset, a recalibration, a moment to choose again, this time with wisdom, because the future belongs to those who pause, not to quit, but to realign. Let's begin. Review the days. Your life leaves clues. Don't just live the days, review them, because every day hands you a receipt. The question is, are you reading it? Let me begin with a simple truth. Life always leaves a trail of decisions, a trail of actions, a trail of habits. And if you'll stop long enough to study that trail, you'll find something most people miss. Clues to why you feel stuck, clues to why you've succeeded, clues to why the results keep showing up the way they do. Now here's the tragedy. Most folks never stop long enough to review the days. They just keep living them, over and over. Like a movie on repeat, same scenes, same outcomes, same regrets. They wake up Monday, blink and suddenly it's Friday. They blink again, and it's December. But let me tell you something. You can't fix what you don't face. You can't grow from an experience you never examined. That's why I say, review the days. Not to judge yourself, not to feel bad, but to finally understand how you've been spending the most valuable asset you'll ever own, your time. Start with this: what did you do yesterday? Not what did you plan to do, not what you intended to do. What did you actually do? Because life doesn't respond to your plans. It responds to your patterns. And the patterns are only visible when you pause to review. Grab a notepad, open your calendar, look at the past 7 days. What did you accomplish? What did you avoid? What stole your energy? Who stole your time? If you don't document your days will disappear. And when the days disappear, so does your potential. Ask better questions, get better answers. Most people ask lousy questions. Why am I not further ahead? Why can't I get motivated? Here's a better set. What did I do last week that moved me closer to my goals? What did I tolerate that held me back? Where did I waste time? Where did I invest it? Who did I spend time with? And how did that shape my mindset? The answers are there, but you've got to be willing to look. Because if you don't look back, you'll keep stepping into the same holes. Your habits are hiding in plain sight. Here's something I've learned. Success is not mysterious. It's not some magical force reserved for the lucky or the talented. Success leaves tracks. So does failure. And if you review the days, you'll find them both. You'll see that you're eating more than you thought, scrolling more than you claimed, spending more than you intended. Or maybe, you'll see that you're stronger than you gave yourself credit for. But you'll never know, unless you review. Track your time, track your choices, track your emotions. And for goodness sake, track your results. Don't guess, don't assume, because you can't change what you won't own. A weekly review is a game changer. Now listen, you don't need a fancy system. You don't need a complicated app. You just need a chair, a notebook, and honesty. Every week, before the new one begins, ask what worked, what didn't, what do I want to repeat, what must I retire, what should I do more of, what should I eliminate altogether. This is how high performers live. This is how momentum is created. Not by doing more, but by doing what matters, more consistently. And how do you know what matters? You review. Final word: don't let the days blur. Let them teach you. Here's the truth. Time is a terrible teacher if you're not paying attention. But it's the best teacher if you'll sit in the front row and take notes. Every day is a message. Every week is a mirror. And your life right now is trying to tell you something. So slow down. Take the hint. Review the days. Because inside that review are the clues that lead to a better year, a better future, and a better you. Reflect on the lessons. Don't just go through it. Grow through it. Let me tell you something most people never hear. Going through it isn't enough. The struggle alone won't make you stronger. The pain alone won't make you wiser. And time passing doesn't guarantee growth. You've got to reflect deliberately, because experience isn't the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. And if you skip the reflection, you skip the lesson. You went through something, but you didn't grow from it. So I want to challenge you today. Don't just survive it. Study it. Ask the questions. Pull out the truth. Extract the wisdom that most people miss. What did that experience teach you? Maybe it was a failure. Maybe it was a tough season. Maybe you trusted the wrong person, missed the opportunity, lost your drive. Whatever it was, don't bury it. Break it open, because inside every setback is a seed of insight. But you only find it if you dig. Ask yourself, what did I learn about me in that moment? What did I tolerate that I won't tolerate again? What mistake did I make that I can now prevent? What strength did I discover that I didn't know I had? See, most people never ask these questions. They numb the pain, they move on too fast. They stay busy so they don't have to reflect. But not you. You're not here to escape your past. You're here to learn from it. Turn pain into purpose. Now let's talk pain, because it's a great teacher. But only if you attend the class. Pain doesn't show up to hurt you. Pain shows up to teach you. But you've got to stay in the seat long enough to hear the message. Here's the key. Don't waste your pain. Don't waste your disappointments. If life gave you a storm, grab the lesson before the clouds clear. I tell people all the time, failure is not a tombstone. It's a signpost. It doesn't say the end. It says this way forward. Reflection turns memory into wisdom. Let me share something practical. When you reflect, your memory becomes more than just history. It becomes wisdom. And wisdom is what separates the reactive from the intentional. So write it down. Talk it out. Think it through. Take the raw material of your experience and shape it into a tool for the next chapter. If you don't, you'll repeat what you never resolved. You'll date the same type of person, make the same financial mistakes, react the same way when stress hits. You'll keep going through it, but never growing from it. Life is a classroom, but only for those who stay curious. Let me ask you, when was the last time you took 20 minutes and said, what's life trying to teach me right now? Most people don't. They're too distracted, too busy, but not the ones who change. The ones who change ask. They stay curious. They dig in. They reflect. And you know what they find? Patterns, principles, power. That's how they break cycles. That's how they step forward wiser than they were yesterday. Final word, don't just move on, move up. Here's your assignment. Look at your last 90 days. Pick one experience, good or bad. Now ask, what did I learn? What will I do differently? What belief needs to change? What habit needs to shift? That's how you grow. That's how you transform. That's how you make sure you don't go through it again just to end up in the same place. So yes, keep going. But don't just go through it. Grow through it. Because the ones who grow, they rise, they change, they lead, they build lives worth living, and legacies worth leaving. Refocus the vision. Aim with new eyes. Let me ask you something simple, but critical. Do you know where you're going? And more importantly, do you still want to go there? Because here's what happens to most people. They start with a goal, maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10. They start chasing it, working hard, doing the grind. But somewhere along the way, the vision becomes outdated, yet the effort keeps going. It's like climbing a mountain, only to get to the top and realize, this isn't the view I wanted. You've got to refocus the vision, not because you've failed, but because you've grown. And growth changes what matters. Maturity shifts priorities. Pain clarifies purpose. So today, I want to challenge you to look again, not with old eyes, not with tired ambition, but with new clarity, with new wisdom. Clarity creates power. Let's get this straight. You can't hit a target you don't see, and you can't hit a target that no longer exists. So if you haven't updated your vision lately, you may be running full speed in the wrong direction. That's why I say, stop and ask, what do I want now? Not what your 20-year-old self wanted, not what your friends are chasing, not what the world says you should want, but what you want based on who you are now, after the mistakes, after the lessons, after the growth. Because your vision shouldn't be a memory. It should be a mirror, reflecting your current truth. Audit the aim. Here's a simple exercise, but don't overlook it. Pull out your journal, your planner, whatever you've got, and write down these 4 questions. What am I aiming for right now? Why did I choose this aim in the first place? Does it still align with who I'm becoming? Is the target clear, or just convenient? Because sometimes we chase things because they're close, not because they're right. Convenient goals are easy to explain. Compelling goals require courage. It's easier to chase a paycheck than to build a purpose. But which one will light you up 5 years from now? Vision is not a wish, it's a decision. A real vision isn't a dream board or a quote on the wall. It's a decision, backed by action, clarity, and discipline. You see, once the vision is real, you begin to say no more often. You stop dabbling, you start aligning. You filter everything, relationships, time, habits, through the lens of your goal. You stop drifting and start designing. That's what happens when the vision is refocused. When you change the aim, you change the energy. Ever notice how tired you feel chasing something that no longer fits? That's not laziness. That's misalignment. You weren't designed to run endlessly toward a vision that doesn't reflect your values anymore. But refocus that vision. Suddenly the fire comes back. Suddenly mornings matter. Discipline becomes easier. Clarity creates momentum, because the body follows where the mind is fixed. The compass, not the clock. Most people live by the clock. By this age I should be married. By this year I should earn 6 figures. By now I should have made it. But the successful, they live by the compass. They ask, am I heading in the right direction? Not am I there yet, but is this still worth getting to? And let me tell you, one right step in the right direction is better than 100 steps towards something that doesn't fulfill you. So don't measure by how fast you're going. Measure by where you're going. Final word. Focus isn't just vision. It's permission. When you refocus, you give yourself permission to change, to pivot, to grow, to realign. You give yourself permission to let go of goals that no longer serve you and to pick up a mission that lights a new fire in your soul. So here's your challenge. This week, review your vision. Not your hustle, not your busyness, but your vision. And if you find it's blurry, update it. If it's outdated, upgrade it. If it's missing, create it. Because once your eyes are locked in, once your aim is clear, your steps get stronger, your choices get sharper, your life gets better. Clean the slate. Eliminate to accelerate. Let me ask you something simple. What's weighing you down? Because you can set the perfect vision, build the best routine, read all the books, but if you're dragging unnecessary weight, you'll never run the race with speed or with joy. You see, success isn't just about adding, it's also about subtracting. It's about saying, this no longer fits who I'm becoming. This habit, this distraction, this excuse, it's got to go. We all want to accelerate. We want faster progress, bigger results, more clarity. But nobody talks about the part that feels hard, elimination. So today's about getting real. It's about cleaning the slate. Because you can't build a better future on a cluttered foundation. Speed follows simplicity. Let me say that again. Speed follows simplicity. The simpler your life, the faster your focus. The fewer the distractions, the clearer the path. But here's the problem. Most people are addicted to more. More commitments, more tabs open, more yeses. They wear busyness like a badge of honor. But let me tell you, busy doesn't mean productive, and full doesn't mean fulfilled. Sometimes the breakthrough you're waiting for is just one elimination away. What needs to go? Grab your journal, draw a line down the middle. On the left, write down what's draining you. On the right, write what's driving you. Be honest. What habits are stealing your energy? What obligations are keeping you busy but empty? What relationships have expired, but you're still entertaining them out of guilt or fear? Because if something is costing you your focus, it's too expensive. No matter how familiar it feels, cut it. It's not a loss. It's a strategy. Subtract to multiply. It sounds counterintuitive, but I've seen it 100 times. When you subtract the wrong things, you multiply the right results. You stop scrolling and start studying. You cut the late nights and reclaim your mornings. You say no to the wrong crowd, and suddenly your confidence starts climbing again. This is the secret high achievers know. Every yes is expensive. So if you're going to say yes to greatness, you've got to say no to good enough. Clean the mental slate too. It's not just about your calendar. It's about your mind. What old stories are you still telling yourself? What doubts, fears, or identities are you dragging from the past? You've got to let go of more than habits. You've got to let go of versions of you that no longer serve the mission. You are not your past. You are not your last mistake. You are who you choose to become, starting now. But that choice begins with cleaning out the mental clutter. Create space for the new. Here's something I've learned over and over again. Life doesn't pour new things into full hands. You want clarity. Make room for it. You want opportunity. Create space. You want better relationships, sharper thinking, deeper peace. Start by clearing the shelf. Because until you eliminate the excess, you'll stay overwhelmed by the ordinary. Final word. Empty doesn't mean less. It means ready. I know, letting go can feel scary. We hold on because it's familiar. We think, what if I need this later? But listen, an old routine can't produce a new result. A cluttered mind can't birth a creative idea. A busy schedule can't build a legacy. So clean the slate. Do it without apology, without delay, without guilt. Because when the unnecessary is gone, the essential becomes obvious. And that's how you accelerate. Rebuild your routine. Small shifts, big results. Let me be clear from the start. You don't need a miracle. You need a rhythm, not a revolution, not a life overhaul, but a few small deliberate shifts. Because success isn't a leap, it's a pattern. It's not what you do once, it's what you do consistently. And where do patterns live? In your routine. Now most people don't have a routine, they have a reaction. They wake up late, rush the morning, skip the planning, respond to everyone else's priorities, and call it a day. Then they wonder why life feels out of control. But listen, your future is hidden inside your daily rhythm. And if you'll take time to rebuild it, even a little, you'll get more done, feel more peace, and finally start gaining momentum. Discipline isn't magic, it's structure. People always say, Jim, how do I stay motivated? Here's the truth. Motivation is unreliable. Routine is powerful. Motivation shows up when it feels like it. Routine shows up whether you feel like it or not. That's what makes it powerful. It doesn't ask how you feel. It moves anyway. And once you've built the right rhythm, discipline becomes automatic. Not a daily debate. Start small, but start right. Now here's where most folks go wrong. They try to change everything at once. They set 12 goals, buy 3 planners, join a gym, start waking up at 4 a.m., and burn out by Thursday. But the pros, they start small. Strategic, because tiny hinges swing big doors. So ask yourself, what's one shift I can make in my morning? What's one habit I can anchor to my lunch break? What's one thing I can stop doing in the evening that's stealing my focus? You don't need 50 changes. You need a few that matter, done consistently. Stack habits, build momentum. Here's a trick I teach all the time. Habit stacking. Attach the new to the old. Want to start journaling? Do it right after your morning coffee. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow. Read 5 minutes before bed. Want to get focused? Start your workday with 3 minutes of silence and review your goals. Don't wait for the perfect time. Build it into the rhythm you already have. Because the best routines don't feel like effort. They feel like normal. Guard your golden hours. Let's talk strategy. Every person has peak hours. Times when the mind is sharper, the energy is higher, the focus is stronger. The mistake. Most people waste those golden hours on email, noise, and low-value tasks. Not you. Not anymore. Protect those hours. Use them for high-impact work. Creative thinking. Strategy. Problem solving. Don't give your best energy to things that don't move the needle. That one change could transform your week. Build systems, not willpower. Let's be real. Willpower fades, but systems last. Instead of saying, I'll try harder, say, I'll build a better system. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Use timers to block social media. Set alarms for start and stop times. Prep your meals on Sunday. Don't rely on memory. Don't rely on hype. Rely on systems. Because when life gets hectic, and it will, it's your routine that keeps you grounded. Final word. Your routine is either a prison or a platform. Let me say that again. Your routine is either a prison or a platform. It either locks you into old habits, or it lifts you toward your potential. You get to choose. You get to build. You get to design the rhythm that serves your life, not the other way around. So don't leave your days to chance. Engineer them. Don't hope for more discipline. Create more rhythm. Because small shifts done daily lead to big results. Recommit with discipline. Emotion starts, discipline finishes. It's easy to get excited. A new goal, a fresh plan, a breakthrough idea. And in that moment of energy, of vision, you feel unstoppable. But let me tell you something, most people don't realize, emotion is the spark, but it's not the engine, that initial motivation. It fades, that burst of inspiration. It burns out, and if all you've got is emotion, you'll start strong and finish nowhere. The real separator, discipline. Not flashy, not loud, but quiet, consistent, relentless. Discipline is what shows up after the mood is gone. It's the decision to do what you said you'd do, long after the feeling has left. So if you want lasting results, if you want progress you can build on, you've got to recommit with discipline. The decision to recommit. Let's get something straight. Discipline doesn't just happen. You don't wake up one day with steel-like focus and zero temptation. Discipline is a decision, and not a one-time decision. A daily one. You chose the goal. You made the plan. Now you've got to recommit. Again and again, because there will be days you don't feel like it. There will be moments you'll want to quit. There will be people who won't believe in you. But none of that matters if you've built the habit of recommitting. Emotion launches. Discipline lands. Think of it like this. Emotion gets the plane off the runway. But discipline is the fuel that gets it to the destination. If you rely on hype, you'll always need another hit, another video, another quote, another Monday. But if you build discipline, you won't need a pep talk. You'll have a plan. You won't need a breakthrough. You'll have behavior. Discipline is not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things. Even when it's hard. Even when it's boring. Even when no one is clapping. Protect your commitments. Especially the ones to yourself. Let me give you something to think about. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you lose trust with you. And that's the worst kind of betrayal. Because if you can't count on you, who else can? So don't take your commitments lightly. If you say you'll wake up at 6, do it. If you say you'll go to the gym, go. If you say you're building something this year, show up for it. Because your confidence doesn't come from talent. It comes from follow-through. Discipline builds self-trust. And self-trust builds unstoppable people. Discipline is a muscle, not a gift. Don't fall for the lie that says some people are just born disciplined. That's not true. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows through use. You build it one rep at a time. One morning you show up when it's hard. One workout you finish when it hurts. 1 hour of deep work when distractions are calling your name. One meal you say no to. Not because you can't have it, but because you choose not to. That's how discipline is built. That's how discipline becomes identity. You don't wait for motivation. You become the kind of person who moves without it. Recommit every day, especially after a slip. Now let me be clear. You're going to slip. You'll miss a day. You'll lose focus. You'll fall short. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. The real test isn't whether you fall. It's how fast you recommit. Most people fall off, and then fall apart. They say, I messed up. I guess it's over. No, it's not over. It's time to recommit. Don't retreat. Don't wait for next week. Recommit today. Say it with me. I may have slipped, but I haven't surrendered. Final word, master the mundane. Everyone wants the glory. Few want the grind. Everyone loves results. Few love routine. But let me tell you the truth. Greatness isn't made in moments. It's made in monotony. Day by day, task by task, choice by choice. The quiet, disciplined person becomes the unshakable leader. So don't just ride the emotional high. Recommit with discipline. Let your behavior preach louder than your motivation. Because when the mood fades, and it will, discipline finishes what emotion started. Choose progress over perfection. Just keep moving. Let me start with this simple truth. Perfection is a lie. It's a trick, a trap, a thief of progress. And the sooner you stop chasing it, the faster you'll start changing your life. Most people don't fail because they didn't want it enough. They fail because they were waiting to get it just right. They say, I'll start when I have more time. I'll begin when I know everything. I'll launch when it's flawless. And what happens? They never move. They never start. They never grow. But here's what the wise understand. Progress beats perfection. Every single time. Because success doesn't demand that you be flawless. It just asks that you keep going. Perfection paralyzes. Progress mobilizes. Perfection says, wait. Progress says, go. Perfection says, you're not ready. Progress says, start messy. And guess what? All your heroes, all the leaders, all the builders, they started messy. They didn't have the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or the perfect system, but they had one thing, movement. They kept putting one foot in front of the other, And over time, the rough edges smoothed out. The gaps were filled in. The momentum took over. That's the secret. You get better as you go. Progress builds identity. Let me teach you something I've learned after years of watching people grow or stay stuck. Identity doesn't change through thinking. It changes through movement. You don't become a reader by buying books. You become a reader by reading 10 pages a day. You don't become disciplined by watching motivational videos. You become disciplined by waking up and doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Every act of progress sends a message to your brain. This is who I am now. And the more you reinforce that, the stronger your identity becomes. Not perfect, just progressing. Perfect is the enemy of done. You know what perfection often creates? Procrastination. Because when something has to be perfect, you avoid it, delay it, overthink it. And before you know it, the opportunity is gone. The window has closed, and you're stuck with nothing but excuses. So here's the new standard. Done is better than perfect. Start the project. Post the video. Make the call. Do the workout. Even if it's short. Write the page. Even if it's rough. Because something small done today is worth more than something perfect. Never done. Just keep moving. Especially when it's slow. Now let's be honest. Some days you'll crush it. Other days you'll crawl. But listen to me. Motion is still motion. Even slow progress is still forward. You don't have to sprint every day. You don't have to knock it out of the park every time. Just don't stop. Because progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, unnoticed, behind the scenes. But it's still working. It's still changing you. It's still building something solid. Step by step, replace the goal of perfection with the habit of consistency. Perfection is a trap you never escape. Consistency is a tool that builds everything you want. So drop the unrealistic goal of never messing up. Instead, aim for this. I show up daily. I adjust. I improve. I keep going. That's where confidence lives. That's where transformation happens. That's how ordinary people create extraordinary results. Final word, progress honors the process. Look, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be in motion, because progress honors the process. It respects the time, the effort, the learning curve. It says, I may not be there yet, but I'm not where I used to be. And that's the goal. Not flawless, not finished, just forward. So stop waiting for ideal. Start walking toward improvement. And whatever you do, just keep moving. Audit often. Don't wait until you're lost. Let me ask you a serious question. When's the last time you stopped to check in with your life? Not just your emails, not just your to-do list. I'm talking about your direction, your values, your time, your focus. Because here's what most people do. They wait until the wheels fall off. They wait until they're stressed, burned out, confused, behind, broke, or off course. Then they want to change. But that's a mistake, a costly one. The smart ones, the intentional ones, they do something different. They audit, regularly, purposefully, not because everything's falling apart, but because they want to keep it together. And if you want to live a life by design, not by default, you've got to learn to audit often. Life moves fast. Course correction must be frequent. Here's a truth no one talks about. It doesn't take much to get off track. Just a few bad habits, a few ignored decisions, a few weeks of saying, I'll fix it later, and suddenly, you're way off course. But here's the good news. Small corrections made often prevent major failures. You don't wait until your car runs out of gas. You check the tank. You don't wait until your teeth fall out. You brush every day. You don't wait until the business is bankrupt. You review the numbers monthly. So why treat your life, your goals, your values, any differently? A life audit isn't judgment, it's navigation. Now let me be clear. An audit is not about guilt. It's not about shame. It's about accuracy. It's about stepping back and asking, where am I right now? Am I heading toward what I said I wanted? What's working? What's not? What needs to be improved, deleted, or re-energized? You're not criticizing yourself. You're calibrating. The same way a pilot checks the flight path. The same way a business checks the quarterly numbers. Because anything you care about, you measure. Weekly and monthly reviews. Your built-in reset button. Let me give you a tool. Build in a weekly review and a monthly audit. Nothing fancy, just 15 to 30 minutes. Quiet time. Honest questions. Weekly, ask yourself, did I keep the promises I made to myself? Where did I spend my time? What habits showed up the most? What drained me? And what drove me? Monthly, go deeper. Is my current routine producing the results I want? Am I growing or just maintaining? What's become a distraction? Where am I slipping? And why? These questions don't just help you feel better. They help you do better. Don't wait for rock bottom to wake up. Listen, too many people wait for the crisis to take action. The health scare, the financial hit, the relationship breakdown. But here's what I've learned. The warning signs always come early, if you're paying attention. That creeping fatigue, that's a signal. That constant delay in your goals, that's a clue. That quiet voice saying, this isn't working, that's wisdom. But most people are too busy, or too distracted to notice. Not you. You're here to live intentionally. That means noticing when the drift begins, and correcting fast. Audit the inner life too. Let's not just audit the schedule. Let's audit the soul. Ask yourself, what am I tolerating that I know I shouldn't? What's the quality of my thinking lately? Am I feeding my mind or numbing it? Do my actions reflect my values, or just my habits? Because sometimes it's not the outside that's off. It's the inner compass that needs adjusting. Don't just track tasks, track truth. Final word, audit before you detour. Here's the principle. The earlier you catch it, the easier it is to fix. That applies to your health, your finances, your marriage, your business, and especially your mindset. So don't wait until the damage is done. Don't wait until you're lost, burned out, bitter, broke, or hopeless. Build the habit now. Review often, reflect deeply, adjust quickly. Because if you'll stay aware, you'll stay ahead. And when you audit with honesty, you live with clarity. Refocus relationships. Some push you, some pull you. Let's be honest, no one succeeds alone, and no one fails alone, either. The people in your life, the ones you text, talk to, work with, trust, they're not neutral. They're either pulling you forward or pulling you back. So if you're serious about growth, if you're serious about focus, clarity, and direction, you must take a hard look at your relationships. Because it's impossible to stay aligned with your vision when you're surrounded by people who aren't. This chapter isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. It's about refocusing your relationships, so you can rise with the right ones and release the ones that quietly sabotage your progress. People are influence, not background noise. Let me give it to you straight. Your environment is shaping you every single day, and your environment is made of people. You pick up their language, you adopt their mindset, you mirror their habits, whether you realize it or not. So if you're surrounded by complainers, guess what you become? A complainer. If you're surrounded by thinkers, doers, builders, you start to level up. Who you're with is changing who you're becoming. So the question isn't, are my relationships affecting me? The question is, how? Audit your circle, not just your schedule. We talked about auditing your habits, your days, your focus. Now let's audit your people. Ask yourself, who challenges me to think bigger? Who holds me accountable? Not just comforts me. Who celebrates my growth? And who secretly resents it? Who inspires discipline? And who excuses laziness? Because some people love the old you. They're comfortable with the version of you that played small. But when you start growing, dreaming, building, you'll find out real quick who's for you and who is just familiar. Not all relationships deserve equal access. Now hear me. You don't have to cut everyone off. This isn't about being harsh. It's about being wise. Access should be earned, not assumed. You can love people and still limit your exposure. You can care deeply without inviting everyone into your decision-making space. Proximity is power, so protect it. You only have so much energy, so much time, so much focus. Don't waste it entertaining people who don't respect your mission. Upgrade your circle, upgrade your life. Want to grow faster? Get around people who are already living where you want to go. People who challenge your excuses, people who normalize discipline, people who speak in solutions, not problems, people who live with values, not just vibes. You don't need cheerleaders. You need builders, mentors, truth tellers, people who see your potential and won't let you shrink from it. And guess what? When you start living at a higher level, you attract people who live there too. But you've got to be willing to make space for them. And sometimes that means letting go of those who never left the starting line. Warning, the wrong people are expensive. There's a cost to hanging with the wrong crowd. It's not always obvious, but it shows up in subtle ways. Your standards drop, your urgency fades. Your clarity blurs, your dreams shrink to fit their comfort. You stop climbing because you don't want to leave anyone behind. But hear me loud and clear. Don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. You're not being disloyal by growing. You're being responsible. Because your life, your future, your legacy, depends on who's speaking into it. Final word: choose your circle, like your life depends on it, because it does. Look, your relationships are either your anchor or your launch pad. They either remind you of who you used to be, or call you to who you're becoming. So refocus the room, refocus the phone list, refocus who gets your time, your energy, your listening ear. You're not being cold, you're being committed. Because if the people around you aren't lifting you, they're limiting you, and you've got no time for that. Not anymore. Refocus for legacy. Live the life you'd be proud of. Let's step back for a moment. You've reviewed, you've reflected, you've rebuilt, you've removed the clutter, restructured your routines, recommitted with discipline, and now you must lift your eyes to something bigger than just progress, something deeper than just goals, something eternal. That something is legacy. Because listen, success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about what you leave behind. It's about the impact you make on others, on your family, on your community, on the world. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by refocusing your life through the lens of legacy. Ask the bigger questions. Most people ask, how can I make more money? How can I hit my next milestone? What's the next move? And those aren't bad questions. But legacy asks bigger ones. What kind of person am I becoming? What values am I passing on? What will people say when I'm no longer in the room or on this earth? Am I building a life I'd be proud to hand over to the next generation? This is what separates the driven from the wise. This is what separates busyness from true significance. Legacy is lived, not just left. Now hear me. Legacy isn't just something that shows up at your funeral. It's something you live out daily. It's not written in stone. It's written in decisions, in conversations, in how you spend your mornings, in what you fight for, and what you walk away from. Legacy is the trail of your character. It's how you show up when no one's watching. It's what your kids remember, not just what you taught them, but what they saw in you. So don't wait to be old and wise. Be young and intentional. Start now. Don't just chase success. Define it. A lot of people climb the ladder, only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. They hit the income, the car, the house, the title, and still feel empty. Why? Because they never asked, what does success mean to me? You've got to define it, or the world will do it for you. And the world's version, it's loud but hollow. Legacy comes from living your values, not their opinions. The power of contribution over consumption. Legacy-minded people don't just ask what they can get, they ask what they can give. They turn their knowledge into wisdom for others, their pain into a roadmap, their story into someone else's breakthrough. That's the mark of real success. Not just accumulation, but contribution. So ask yourself, who am I helping become better? What message am I living that others can follow? How can I leave more than I take? Because when you live to lift others, your life gains weight. Design a life that outlives you. Here's the most powerful thing you can do. Design your days with the end in mind. Not in fear, not in anxiety, but in clarity. What story do you want told about you? That you were impressive, or that you were impactful, that you made noise, or that you made a difference, that you consumed life, or that you contributed to it. Because at the end of it all, the only applause that matters is the echo of lives you've touched, the ripple effect of values you stood for, the quiet power of a life well lived. Final word, legacy is intentional, so live like it. Don't drift, design, don't wait, act. Don't just hope they'll remember you, give them a reason to. Refocus your life with the long view in mind. Let every small action echo with purpose. Let your discipline be your message. Let your integrity be your signature. Let your consistency be your monument. And live in such a way that when you're gone, you're not really gone. You're still moving through the values you passed on, the lives you shaped, the decisions you made when no one was clapping. The life you want is built in the pause. So here we are. You've walked through the process. You've reviewed your days, reflected on your lessons, refocused your habits, your energy, your relationships, your vision. But if there's one truth I want to leave you with, one seed to plant deep in your spirit, it's this. Your life is not changed in motion, it's changed in the pause. Because the pause is where clarity begins. The pause is where you regain your power. The pause is where you catch yourself before the drift becomes disaster. The pause is where you make decisions, not just reactions. The pause isn't laziness, it's leadership. It's what separates the overwhelmed from the intentional, the busy from the productive, the scattered from the focused, the wandering from the wise. Motion without direction is a waste of effort. Too many people are sprinting in the wrong direction. They're exhausted, overwhelmed, chasing everything and arriving nowhere. Why? Because they never paused, never asked, is this what I truly want? Is this leading somewhere meaningful? Am I running from something or towards something? They confuse activity with progress. They wear burnout like a badge of honor. But listen, if the latter is leaning against the wrong wall, climbing faster just gets you lost faster. So pause, check your aim, realign your path, review, reflect, refocus, repeat. This isn't a one-time exercise. This is a lifestyle. The pause isn't what you do when life breaks. It's what you do to keep life working. Every week, review. Every month, reflect. Every season, refocus. Because you're going to grow. You're going to shift. You're going to change. And if you're not pausing along the way, you'll outgrow the very systems that once served you. Your best life is not built once. It's built again and again, in rhythm with who you're becoming. The work happens in the stillness. You'd be surprised how much clarity you can gain in 10 minutes of silence versus 10 hours of stress. The pause is where you hear your own thoughts again, where you remember your values, where you separate the urgent from the important. That's where your best decisions are made. That's where your standards rise. That's where wisdom speaks. Because growth doesn't just happen in action, it happens in awareness. And awareness lives in the pause. Final word, the pause isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You don't need more noise. You don't need more tasks. You don't need more hustle. You need more clarity, more intention, more truth. And that comes from stepping back, not stepping faster. So before you run into the next thing, pause. Before you say yes again, pause. Before you chase someone else's dream, pause. Because in that quiet space, where there's no applause, no deadline, no pressure, you meet yourself again.